For today's edition of Good Morning with Iqra. Brothers and sisters, I hope you had a wonderful evening yesterday, and inshallah may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you with a wonderful day as well. Today I have two very special guests. The first of them, who is Mr. Anwar Mirza, who is from the Ahmadi Jamaat. I just need to state that he's not representing the Jamaat. He's here independently. He's also a speaker on international politics, and he'll be here with us discussing his own understanding on the belief of our Ahmadi brethren. Also with me, I have another guest, his brother Akbar Ahmed Chaudhry. He is of the highest profile reverts from Ahmadiyya to Islam. He has co-authored one of the standard Ahmadiyya texts read by Ahmadis world over. He was also a prime instructor for the annual Taaleem course, and has also produced, directed and presented his own show for 3 years on Ahmadi Media. Also an editor of the English magazine and a webmaster who launched the first Ahmadiyya website in 1994. Gentlemen, assalamu alaikum, and welcome to the show. Brothers and sisters, I must clarify, today is not an argument, it is not a debate, this is a discussion for us to understand one another. This is a chance for the Muslims to understand our Ahmadiyya brethren, and for our Ahmadiyya brethren to understand what Muslims believe as well, and why they hold the views that they do about them. One thing I need to clarify, which I didn't explain as well, that I think Brother Akbar, you actually reverted to Islam as well in 2003. I think that's something I missed out.
Yeah.
Okay, if you just want to greet our viewers as well, and
sure.
just explain a bit about yourself.
Absolutely. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I was born into the Ahmadiyya community, and for a long time I was a part of them. Towards the end of the 1990s and beginning of the year 2000, 2001, I started to think about where was this community going. I mean, we live in a modern society which has with political problems for Islam, for the Ummah and everything else. And what I found in the Ahmadiyya, that it had become a cult. Some part in its last 50 to 60 years, it had become a cult where any type of questioning or dissent was not allowed. Their teachings, just like Brother Anwar just mentioned, appears to be very straightforward. But once you dig into the concept that they hold about Khatm-e-Nabuwwat, or the concept that they hold about being the last prophet, or the concept that they hold about the rest of the Ummah, there is a big gulf between what they claim and what they profess. And this is what drove me to accept Islam. And alhamdulillah, once I joined the big community of Muslims, I feel at home. I feel at home in Islam. And my reason for being here is to share my experience, and to tell my Ahmadi brothers and sisters that it is not a scary world as they are led to believe within that organization, within that cult. So that's why I'm here with you today.
Okay, mashallah, mashallah. Jazakallah both of you gentlemen for being here today. I know you've had a bit of a long journey, and we do sincerely appreciate that, the effort you've made. I want to start off today, inshallah, by discussing some of the claims that Ghulam Ahmed Mirza Sahab made about himself. Some of the claims I have, his successive claims were: in 1880, he claimed that he began to receive divine revelation. In 1882, he claimed to be a mujaddid, a revivalist. In 1883, he claimed that he is Adam, Maryam and Ahmed. In 1891, there were two claims of, firstly, he is the metaphorical Messiah, and secondly, Jesus, son of Mary. In 1892, he claimed he is the master of kun fayakun, be and it is, meaning that God gave him the authority over be and it is. In 1894, he claimed he is the Messiah and the Mahdi. In 1899, he claimed he is the shadow and the reincarnation of the Prophet. And in 1904, he claimed that he is Krishna. Mr. Mirza,
Yes, sir.
of these claims, are these the claims, do you agree with these claims, and do you believe they're valid?
Before I answer that, can I say that, you know, during the time of Badr, the Battle of Badr, when Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam threw the sand and the pebbles, it is said, and we all believe, all the Muslim believes, that it was said that it's not Muhammad, Allah said, revealed to him, it's not you who threw the sand on the enemy, it is the Allah who threw. So taking these sort of examples from the basic Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the metaphorical language has been used in the Torah, in the Old Testament, New Testament, and in the Quran, Quran Hakim as well. Allah has been known to mention Bani Israel, children. This is a sort of affection. When you love somebody, when you devote yourself completely into somebody higher than you, as promised Messiah has said in his more than 85 books, that all what he has received, this blessing, is due to his subordinate position and being, being in love with Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is in all his books, in his poetry, in Persian, in Urdu, in Arabic. He has said that all what I have received is through the blessing of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I have nothing, and he has also said, and I think Mr. Akbar will agree, Brother Akbar will agree on that. He said that if all my good deeds, all my worships, all my sacrifice put in one, and if I am not, if my love for Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and for Allah Ta'ala is not there, if I am not under his subordination, if I'm not his real ghulam, then everything is worthless. So that shows his...
Just staying on the claims.
Yeah.
Are these claims? Do you agree with these claims?
Please ask me.
As in, one of them is that he is Adam, Maryam, and Ahmed. Do you agree with this?
You see, this
Would you, and yeah. Just two.
Sure.
That is Adam, Ahmed, and Maryam, and that is Jesus, son of Mary.
Okay.
Yeah.
For these two questions, you see, when we say metaphorical language used Adam, what did Adam do? Adam was the beginning of a new Islamic thing, you know, as we remember as children. Adam is the beginning, as far we know, the Adam alayhi salam, though human beings have been, you know, before that, the science has proved that. So when he says, I am the Adam, that means after Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and after the 1300 years, 1400 years, when there were clear prophecies that a time will come. If I can remind you, one prophet, even this ayat came on, what is the word, when it was revealed to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Akhirina minhum is in Jummah, summa yalhaqu bihim. And the Sahaba was sitting near Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he said that I will come again. That I will come again. And the Sahaba were surprised, and they said, who are these people who will be the akhirin, you know, the last people among whom you will come? And Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam kept quiet. Then they asked again, he kept quiet because, and the third time, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam always answered after, you know, Allah Ta'ala has given him the revelation, and then he used to answer certain questions. And among these Sahabas, there were Hazrat Salman Farsi sitting. He was the only one who was from Ajam, who was from the east, and the rest were all Arabs. So after this, he put his hand on the hand of, on the shoulder of Hazrat Salman Farsi, Razillah Ta'ala anhu, and he said that even if the Iman went up to the Suraya, the hadith says, I don't want to say in Arabic in case I make mistakes, so I translate that even if the Iman was lifted up to the seventh heaven, Suraya star, is Rajulun or Rijalun from these people or from these people, he will bring it back. So Salman Farsi was from the east,
Right.
And he was not among Arabs. So that means metaphorical language has been used in the Quran, in Hadith many times. That is reply to your. Similarly, he has used the word Maryam for himself, Adam, and one of his poem he says, Niz Ibrahim hu nasle hai meri beshumar, kabhi Adam, kabhi Isa, kabhi Musa, kabhi Ibrahim.
Could you translate that for us?
Yeah, he says.
Was he a poet as well?
Yeah, he has written a poetry.
He's a poet, okay.
He wasn't a poet. In his poetry he says that my aim to write this poem is that somehow the message of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the Quran and the Sachai reaches to people, otherwise I'm not a poem. He also says that. So he's not poet as such.
He wrote poetry.
But he wrote poetry in Farsi in praise of Quran, in praise of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And the famous, I'm sure Mr. Akbar knows, was a qasida in Arabic in which he tells actually that he is nothing. He's nothing, and in one of his Urdu poem, I'll have to say it in Urdu, Mehboob Saab, and then translate it. He says, "Us noor par fida hu, wo peshwa hamara jisse hai noor sara, naam uska hai Muhammad, dilbar mera yahi. Sab paak hai payambar, lekas khudaye bartar. Sab paak hai payambar, ek dusre se behtar. Lekas Khudaye Bartar Khairul Bara yahi hai." This is in the Shan of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And one of his stanzas says, "Us noor par fida hu, uska hi main hua hu, wo hai, main cheez kya hu, bas faisla yahi hai." And I think that shows you his humbleness and his servant to his master. And according to the Quran's ayat, whoever is obedient to Allah and His Rasul, there is a blessing of Nabiyyin, Sadiqeen, Salihin, and Shuhada. And these are the words of Quran. These are not the words of promised Messiah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mirza. Thank you for that. Brother Akbar, anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, again, this is the confusion that I've always felt in the Ahmadiyya, that they equate a person's internal feelings or whatever he thought with doctrine, and then confuse the doctrine with religion and label that as the true Islam. They call their religion the true Islam. So as you see, the brother Mirza here did not address any of the claims directly. The 3 points that he used were: number one, it is a metaphorical language; number two, there is a hadith; and number three, the timeline that you presented. So what I will do is I will go through these one by one if you have time. You
have to be very brief on them as you go through.
Sure. Yeah. So the first thing that comes to mind here is that the translation, and when Ahmadis translate the Quran or they translate the Hadith, they introduce a little subtle meaning in there which makes sense to Punjabi, Pakistanis, but doesn't make sense to the rest of the world. And this is why most of their followers come from that persuasion. So just as an example here, the hadith that was quoted by Brother Mirza is "Law kana al-imanu inda Suraya lanaluhu rajulun min haula." Now the word lanaluhu means will reach, not will bring back. So it was after I spent time in the Arab world and learnt Arabic myself, was that I came to this conclusion that by twisting the meaning very slightly, you change the whole concept, and then you make it the foundation of your faith.
Are you fluent in Arabic?
I'm not fluent, but I can read and I can speak and I can understand. Yeah. So what this meant is that when the Arab people were saying, this is an Ajami, a Farsi person sitting next to us, the Holy Prophet ﷺ meant that even if Iman, faith, were to be so far away as the Suraya, the Pleiades, these people will reach it, meaning they have the capacity. Although they are not Arabs, they have the capacity to reach it. But then that word has been mistranslated as to bring it back. So this is just one example.
Just wait for the brother to finish, inshallah. We'll come back to
then coming to his claims, Brother Mirza said that his claims were as God revealed to him. He was nothing by himself, and as God. I have a serious problem with that, because although I may not doubt what was inside his heart, his love for his family, his love for Allah or whatever, I'm not there to judge him. But what I can judge Mirza Qadiani on, I can judge him based on what he did and what he claimed. So in 1880, going with your timeline, in 1880 he wrote the Brahine Ahmadiyya, in which he believed Jesus to be still not dead, Hazrat Isa alayhi salam. And in 1880 or 1881, Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan wrote a commentary of the Holy Quran in which he raised, according to him, that Jesus had died. In 1885, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad claimed to be Mujaddid, reformer, although to be honest, you don't claim to be Mujaddid. You do something and then people say you are the reformer. But he had a habit of making a claim before he would do anything. So, and then he held that belief, although he had claimed to be Mujaddid in 1885, he held that belief until 1890 or 1891, when he finally said, oh, God has revealed to me that Jesus has died. So just as an example, it shows you. So these timelines, like you said, don't make sense. They go from one claim to another, to another, to another, and each claim becomes as preposterous as the one before. So you see a gradual thing in there. When we read history, we look at saints or we look at prophets in the history of various religions. We see that when God appoints them, they stand up and say, you know, this is why God appointed me, and this is what I'm here to do. Yep. And here we see a gradual change and a lot of inconsistency in the dates. So having been appointed a reformer, God, na'uzubillah, did not tell him that Isa is dead or alive. And then 6 years down the road, while Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan's commentary had been there for 11 years, then he finally changes his belief. So I have a serious problem with how he presented it. Okay. What were his internal thoughts or his internal beliefs? I'm not there to judge him. God is there, and he will judge all of us, you know. So.
All right. Thank you for that. Mr. Mirza, anything you'd like to just very briefly, because we've got some more points you want to get.
Right, one or two points. First of all, you know, I don't know how, I'm not an Arabic professor, but how you translate this, that all the pious people in the last 1300 years, their books are there, they have translated the hadith in the same meaning as I have stated. Listen, I have the book here with me. If you want, you are more familiar than Arabic hadith book, I will show it to you. Second thing is, you said that he eventually, every prophet, when Prophet Muhammad ﷺ came back from Ghar Sawr, Ghar Hira, he put blanket around his, and as Khadija was there to tell him, he was trembling. So when Allah talks to his prophet, to his pious people, they gradually, they sweat, they fear.
How did Allah SWT communicate to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ?
Through Jibreel.
And how did he communicate to Ghulam Ahmad Mirza Sahib?
He also spoke to him through Jibreel and through his angels, as all the wahi and ilham to all the pious people. You know, even God spoke to Shah Abdul Qadir Jilani, Rahmatullah alayhi, Humble Ibn Arabi. God revealed to them all these mujaddids, you know, all these waliullahs, Hazrat Ali, Hazrat, so many pious people in the history of Islam, even before Musi Maud was, I believe, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad was born. Allah has been talking to his people, his way. This is called inam, and Allah's inam does never stop. Similarly, he revealed to Mirza Ghulam Ahmad of Qadian, as you said, that he revealed to him gradually, obviously. And as for Brahini Ahmadiyya is concerned, if you know the history, as you claim to be, Muhammad Hussain Batalvi, he was a very big scholar in India at that time. He was the head of Ahle Hadith, and in his, before he claimed, you see, it is history of prophets. Everybody claims them, Rasul Akram Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was Siddiq, Ameen, but when he claimed, I'm a prophet, people turn against him. Muhammad Hussain Batalvi wrote.
You have to be very brief with this now, because I want to move on to the next question, inshallah.
He said, इसे कोई अशियाई मुबालगा ना समझे. अगर कोई है, and this was his claim all over India, अगर कोई है तो वो बताए कि जिस तरह Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani said, Maulvi Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani at the time, जिसने इस्लाम की और कुरान की और मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की शान में इस्लाम के दुश्मनों का आर्य समाज हिंदू एंड ईसाइयों का जवाब दिया कोई है तो लाए। और वहाँ एक एज पर उस वक्त जो हालात थे वही हालात थे जो हदीसों में आए हैं कि इस्लाम उठ जाएगा, कुरान सिर्फ पढ़ने के लिए रह जाएगा और मस्जिदें भरी होंगी। ये हदीस है, मैं आपको बताता हूँ हवाले दे के। और उस वक्त जो हालात थे, ये बुखारी की हदीसें हैं।
One said something about Hinduism.
आर्य समाज देखे ना उस वक्त जब ब्रिटिश राज था हिंदुस्तान में।
You have to keep this in English because this.
Right, brother. At that time, there were Christian missionaries all spread all over. Captain Douglas, Dewey, and taking all the Muslims. They were turning them into Christianity. They were turning them away from Islam. Imam Qadiani was the only, and the history. I'm the scholar. If you had news, I was the evidence of Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan and Iqbal and everybody.
I'm going to stop you there because I think we're just going a bit way off now. Just going back to one more claim now, and we're going to be very, very brief on this.
Sure.
He claimed in 1904, on the 2nd of November, that he is Krishna. And Krishna is known in Hinduism as one of their deities, as one of the gods. So did he claim to be a god of the Hindus?
Right, no, I'll tell you.
And if you can please be very brief.
I'll be very brief.
We're going to go for a break, inshallah, shortly as well.
Okay. As Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was Rahmatul Alameen, he didn't come only for Arab, as the previous prophets came for certain areas. And as we know, that Allah has been sending prophets in each area.
You know, the difference is Krishna is a god.
I know.
Yeah? Okay.
Krishna in Hindi means their avatar.
Right.
Avatar means God. No, because he also followed the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that his talim is to spread the Islam all over the world. So similarly, it was revealed to Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani that he is the Christian avatar. And for your information, if you don't know, Hindus in Gita are also waiting for the Christian to come back again in all the religions.
So basically,
in the Buddhists,
basically he's the Messiah, the awaited Messiah of the Hindus, yeah?
He is Christian for the Hindus.
So
he's
a awaited Messiah for the Hindus as well. Thank you.
He is Jesus for Christians and Masih for Muslims.
Okay, thank you. Okay, what we're going to do now, inshallah, we're going to take a short break, brothers and sisters, stay tuned, where we're discussing on the belief of our Ahmadi brethren. Stay tuned, inshallah, we'll see you after the break. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to the Good Morning with Iqra show. With me today I have two very honourable guests. Firstly is Mr. Anwar Mirza, who is of the Ahmadiyya movement. He's a follower of the Ahmadiyya movement. Just to clarify again that he's not representing the movement, he's here independently. And also I have Akbar Ahmed Chaudhry, who is an ex-Qadiani Ahmadi and reverted to Islam in 2003. Before we went to the break, gentlemen, we were talking about Mirza Sahib's claim that he is Krishna. Okay, Brother Akbar, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I would like to address that point and a couple of other points, if you may. As far as I have dug,
sure. You have to be very brief on these, please.
Into the research, I have not found any mention of Krishna returning, because the Hindus consider Krishna as a god who is alive. And they don't consider him as a human being who has died or who is going to come back. So in the Hindu mythology, there is no mention whatsoever of Krishna returning at all, as far as I've been able to find out, and I've done a thorough research. So again, it was one of those things that to me were just brought up as part of his claims. Talking about Brahini Ahmadiyya, I would like to ask Mr. Iqbal Mirza, Mr. Anwar Mirza Sahib, have you read Brahini Ahmadiyya?
Yes.
And how many Ahmadis do you think have read Brahini Ahmadiyya?
I think quite a lot of Ahmadis have read Brahini Ahmadiyya. Not only Ahmadis have read it, but it's been translated into different languages.
So which languages have it been translated into?
In English. And I also want to tell you that all the scholars in Hindustan at that time...
Sorry, Jen,
it was my turn to say something.
I want to clarify this point.
That Brahini Ahmadiyya has not been translated into any language other than the original Urdu at this time. Even on the alislam.org website, there is no translation of that book, which was considered the crowning achievement of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib. That book has 5 volumes. First volume is just an advertisement. Second volume is an introduction where he says, Mirza Sahib says he will put 300 arguments in the favor of Islam.
Okay.
The fourth volume starts with the first argument. Then there is a big footnote that goes through 2 volumes, footnote number 11. And then on the fourth volume, the first argument is just suspended halfway there. It's not even complete. Out of 300, he did not even complete the rest of the 299 arguments. And because people had paid for that book, 50 volumes he had promised, after 23 years, he published 1 more volume saying that I promised 50, I delivered 5, the difference is just a 0, you know. So this is how the theology evolves. I have yet to meet an Ahmadi where are the 300 arguments, what they were, and how many of those are mentioned in Baraini Ahmadiyya, and what was the argument, and have you read Baraini Ahmadiyya? So again, this is exactly the point why I call it a cult. They believe in these things and they say these things while the reality is much different. So that book, that message that the so-called reformer brought in his biggest book, his biggest work, has not been translated, is never taught to any Ahmadis, and has never been translated into any language.
Right.
What is the problem?
Okay, wait, just something you said there that Mirza Sahib said, 1 minute please, Mirza Sahib said that he promised 50 volumes. 50 volumes
and
he only
300
produced
arguments.
5,
Yeah.
and he said the only difference is a 0.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Mirza, is there any truth in this? Or we're just going to stick with this now, please.
Yes,
Yeah? We're not going to
all
go
right.
wayward or go to
I
previous
clarify
points.
one point. First of all, Brother Mehboob, he has come with the certain points which I did not know before coming to this program. I must clarify this. He came, I didn't know he was going to talk about Brahini Ahmadiyya because I don't have references on me of each book, but
Okay.
he became prepared with his certain points, which I think is not fair, and I am ready to answer him all his questions because it is just fair, Brother Mehboob and Brother Akbar, it is just fair that if I come prepared with a list of questions
we
which
did
you're not
explain-
even aware of,
Mr.
and you
Mirza?
come on a live television.
Mr. Mirza, did we explain to you beforehand we're going to speak on the character of Ghulam Ahmed Mirza Sahib?
Yeah, but this
and
is-
the character of Ghulam Ahmed Mirza Sahib includes his works,
Okay.
includes his books, includes the claims he made, yeah, and how he was in public as
I
well.
see. Okay,
So,
fair enough.
so inshallah, this is the whole reason that we want to understand these points as
Right.
well.
No, can I answer
so if you
to
can,
this?
if you can just explain about why did he claim that the only difference between 50 and 5 is a 0?
Okay, first of all, in those days, as far if I remember correctly, certain volumes were published, and then there was obviously some money problem or somebody, or maybe the press problem because it was sent to Amritsar for some reason. And because I'm not sure on this, I think I better not comment, and I don't understand this point of 50 and 0. All I know is that all the volumes are there, and at that time, and I can send you the references, that all the ulamas of that time, they said that Brahini Ahmadiyya is written in such a way that nobody can actually answer against Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and the Quran, because in that argument, there's another book, Islami Asul Ki Philosophy, the philosophy of Islam. Why don't you mention that? And there are 85 other books which he has written, not only for his claim, but in favor of, to proving that Islam is the only religion and Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is the best and Akmal Tareen, and nobody is above him.
Okay.
And also in the same light, he has said that all I have come, whatever my claim is, to revive everything which Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has said, everything which
But he
is
also
Quran.
claimed
Yes.
claimed prophethood, yeah?
He claimed
He did claim prophethood.
Yes, Zilli Nabi, that
Okay.
means he has no
just
new
one.
Sharia.
Okay, not new Sharia, but he did claim to be a prophet who was to confirm of previous. Yeah,
He
is this
said
what it
that
is?
he is the same prophet who has been prophesied
Okay.
to come in the later days
Okay.
in the name of Bani Israel,
Right. Okay.
Isa ibn Maryam.
Just
and
on that.
I
Okay.
can
So we
answer that.
confirm that you believe he is a prophet.
Yes.
Okay. Now on that point about the books,
A
issue,
prophet,
the books
but
issue.
without new Sharia.
Okay, without new Sharia. Fine, that's fine. We accept that.
Ji.
On the point of the books, that he said that I will produce 50 volumes. He produced 5. Okay, let's take the dot out. Do you know about this? That he said I'll produce 50, but he only produced 5. Yeah, he made a promise to the people that this is what I will do. Do prophets break their promises?
Right, now one thing, I'm not sure about this, his argument that he promised that he will make 50 volumes, because in those days, you know, as far as I understand, that he used to write, or his people, his friends or his subordinates used to write, and then it was sent to publish to Amritsar or Batala or some other place, and then the copies were coming back. But as I have just said, on this very point, it's not important that whether it was 50 volumes or he promised 25 volumes. You can start writing a book, right? You can. When Quran was revealed, Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did not know it's going to be 30 chapters, did he? He didn't. As Allah revealed him, Allah guided.
But he didn't promise the people that this is how many.
Yeah, but chapters, I don't know. As I said, Mr. Akbar says that I will go and read it, and I will definitely get in touch with him, because as I've said, what I don't know, I don't want to be. I don't want to claim.
So what we do?
Because I'm not Alim Deen, and I said that on the last program.
We'll leave it at that. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Brother Akbar, if you want anything you want to add to that, but very, very briefly, because I want to move on as well.
I will just take 10 seconds of your time here. There are books in Arabic that he wrote which have not been published in Arabic. There are books in Persian that he wrote which have not been published in Persian. So, and these books are called spiritual treasure by the Ahmadiyya, that he was the Mahdi who brought spiritual treasure. That treasure is being kept hidden. Are the Ahmadiyya too embarrassed to show it? Why are they not translated? Why are they not searchable? Why are they not translated into multiple languages, and people of the world and the problems that the world is facing are not there? So that's all I've got to add to it. Yeah.
Right, thank you. We're going to just leave that at that. When I move on, I just want to ask.
10 seconds.
We're just going to leave that. Yeah, 10 seconds, very short, please. Yeah.
He just said he has written books in Arabic. They have not been translated in Arabic. And he said he's written books in Farsi. They've not been translated in Farsi. I don't understand. What do you mean? They have not been. If he has written a book in Arabic, Hamamatul Bushra, the whole book is in Arabic, and you say it's not translated into Arabic. I don't understand.
Okay, let's just leave that. No problem. We'll leave that there. Brother Akbar, I just want to ask you. You lived most of your life as a follower of the Ahmadi Jamaat. Am I correct?
Yep.
Yeah. You agreed with the claims of Ahmed Mirza Sahib. Yeah. He provided you with the evidence. Yeah. Through revelations, Quran and Hadith. Then why do you still deny? Why are you against the Ahmadiyya movement?
To correct your question a little bit, I'm not against anybody.
Okay.
Many people of my family, almost all my family is still Ahmadi. I regard them like my brothers and sisters. My problem is only with the leadership of the Ahmadiyya, who have corrupted this organization into a cult, and they have either hidden or there is no consistency in those arguments. So just like Brother Anwar was saying a short while ago, that all the scholars agreed on Mirza Sahib's books. Whenever Ahmadiyya use the word all, they never stand behind it. There is no scholarly debate allowed within the Ahmadiyya, and they never hold any scholarly debate with any other person. And what happens is all the scholars shunned Mirza Ghulam Ahmad during his time as a person who was off his rocker, you know. But when you talk to Ahmadis, they will say all, and when you ask them for a reference, they will bring you one or two, and the leading people at that time, the leading Muslim scholars of that time, they will not mention the names. So yes, I can bring you a list of names from somewhere, but that doesn't mean anything. Then I found out that a lot of arguments and these references from old scholars' books like Muhyiddin Ibn Arabi and other scholars are false. They're faked. They're faked, or the translations are faked. So I dug through these one by one, and I've held debates with people online. For the last 7 years I've been online, and I've asked anybody to come. So most of what it is based on twists and turns, and then so I was not prepared to base my whole deen and my whole foundation of my existence on such sand, you know, such an unstable foundation. So this was primarily the reason. And when I took this up with the people, the leaders in the community, I was shunned. They asked me to come and present my points, and when I volunteered to present them, they're sorry, it's too late, you know. So this was the driving force behind the reason that I left Ahmadiyya. And when I found Islam and I joined Islam, I have been very blessed that there are brothers in Islam who hold different views, who discuss, publish books about Islam, about Islamic history. What have the Ahmadiyya done for Islamic history? What has the Ahmadiyya done for Islamic theology? They say we are the real Islam. What have they actually delivered in terms of scholarly content or in forms of engagement?
Right.
Yeah. So
yeah, if you just want to quickly finish, then
yeah. So what I saw is that inside that cult, you are conditioned to consider all Muslims as ogres, as people who are scary. They don't do anything for Islam. They don't do anything. They just fight and kill each other, and they are such scary people. And when I came to find Muslims are completely different. They talk like we are talking right now. They discuss. They evaluate. And yes, Islam is under a lot of pressure right now. But what is happening in the Muslim world is 1,000, 1,000,000 times more than what Ahmadiyya is doing, despite all their finances and despite all their organizations, so-called. So I said, you know what, this is completely shady. It's like Scientology, like Jehovah's Witnesses, like any of those other cults in Christianity. It's something like that.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Mirza, anything you'd like to add?
I just don't know which of his point to take. First of all,
just pick 2 points.
Yeah, 1 or 2 points.
Yeah.
First of all, you said that Islam came 1400 years ago, yes? And still, even today, in the 21st century, it's the 15th Hijri. Has the whole world accepted Islam? Not yet. We are still struggling, you and me, to bring them in the fold of Islam. So don't, all this, your things which you have just said. Promised Messiah, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad of Qadian, is only about just over 100 years old. Tell me, give me an example of any prophet or any mazhab in the history of religion that within 100 years or 200 years, they had conquered the whole world.
Islam.
No, Islam did not. You're wrong, because it's on the up to 7th or 8th century, they only came up to Spain. I know, I have studied the history of Islam as well, because basically it is the Islam which is the real religion. I agree with this terminology. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is the last prophet, he is the seal of prophet, Quran is the last book, and his Sharia is the last Shariat. And Mirza Ghulam Ahmad of Qadian never claimed that he's a Shari Nabi. And as I said, you said that we say all. When you talk generally, you generalize people. Most of, if I had known Brother Akbar with all these questions before, and I think it should have been given to me, the opportunity, or at least, because as I said, I'm not a thorough scholar. He became prepared with his questions. I did not.
Nobody's come prepared. The only person who's come with questions is myself. Okay? Nobody's been shown, nothing's been discussed beforehand.
One point of his, I want to tell you. You keep saying Scientology and Jehovah's Witness, etc., etc. Do you know what they claim, Jehovah's Witness, for instance? Tell me, what is the difference between the New Testament and the Old Testament and Jehovah's? If you know about the religion of Christians, can you point out, and I'll answer it?
I think at the moment we're simply moving backwards.
Just to claim something, to use the terminology and blame others. I have no right to blame any other sect unless I have studied it, and I know just for the propaganda's sake, people tell lies. People still don't believe in Allah. People tell lies about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Knows billah min zalik. They say certain surahs are mansukh in Quran. So what do you want me to do?
Just
believe them?
What you said
no.
is you've got no right to judge any sect if you haven't studied on it.
If you haven't studied it and you don't know the reality.
And you don't know the reality.
This is it.
Have you studied Ahmadiyya, brother?
Yes.
Okay. How long did you study for?
I have studied all my life. I've read all of Mirza Sahib's books and the books of
Can you be precise? Can you give me roughly how many years you lived as a...
from age of 12 onwards, I think I have been constantly studying each and every book that I could lay my hands on till the age of about 35 when I left the Ahmadiyya. So I have taken it upon myself to read everything. I did not come prepared with any answers. All I am saying is from my memory. And I have lived among those people, and I have been there, and I have studied them in much great depth. So, I mean, I don't know how to answer brother's question here.
No, let me ask you a question. If, you know, for instance, have you studied his book, Masih Hindustan Mein?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
And you believed in that at that time?
Okay, look, sorry, gentlemen, we're going to move on now. Another question I'll bring up is regarding the role of sisters within the organization.
Sisters?
Sisters, the women.
Women, I see.
The women.
Okay, sorry.
Okay? So our sisters.
Yeah?
Our sisters in humanity.
Ji.
Ahmadiyya brethren, you claim to be very modern and very progressive.
Not modern, in the middle.
But very progressive people.
Not really.
No? Okay. So these are the claims that I've heard anyway. That they claim to be very progressive people. Okay, you're moving very fast ahead and very understanding, very knowledgeable people in that sense. What is the role of women in your organization?
In our organization?
What are the rights within the movement?
Okay. As for the rights which are given to the women by our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, same rights are given to Ahmadi women, and I think same rights should be given to whether they are Ahmadis or non-Ahmadis, because Allah has laid out rules. Allah has said clearly in Quran the rights of women, what their duties are and what our men's duties are. So as far that side is concerned, same rights are given in the family, in the society, and they should be given. What is given in, as far, we have an organization called Lajna Imaullah and Nasirat. Nasirat are the girls up to the age of 12, and after the age of 12 they are known as Lajna. And why are you writing this? You being an MD, you should have known all this, as you claim to be. And in the men's section, the boys up to the age of 14 are called Atfal. From the 14 to 40 years of age, Brother Mehboob, they are called Khuddam, the servants.
Right.
And after Khuddam, after 40 years of age, they are called Ansar. These are names given to the organization.
Right.
Now, the rights of the women, any particular, then I can tell you what I know.
What role do they actually play within the organization?
Within the organization.
Do they have any roles within like offices, within... are they allowed to... Do you vote for your Khalif?
Do you?
Do you vote for your leader? Do you choose?
No, there is a process. There's a process of when one. You see, can I briefly tell you, very briefly?
Or just tell us on what the sisters, what they do to help.
We have a system that one Khalifa passed away. Now we have Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad.
Right.
He is the 5th Khalifa.
Okay.
And he is the